Hey YouTube, welcome to the next episode in my series on landscape photography in the American Southwest. We are driving the Cathedral Valley Road, and this stop here, we're at the Temple of the Sun and Temple of the Moon. This is Temple of the Sun right here, and Temple of the Moon is back there. So we're going to spend a day or two here photographing these landmarks, and I've already spent a couple of hours scouting out sunrise and sunset shots that I'm pretty happy with. I think you'll find them interesting too. So thanks for joining me. The temples of the sun and moon are located in the Cathedral Valley area of Capitol Reef National Park. While you can access them from Highway 12 by driving the first 17 miles of the Cathedral Road, I am driving the entire 56-mile Cathedral Valley Loop, which requires at least an all-wheel drive vehicle with high ground clearance. Driving the full loop in a clockwise direction starts off with the ford of the Fremont River, which is only about 12 inches deep when I cross it here in late February. Be sure to check conditions at the ranger station before attempting to ford this river. I then spent an evening and a morning photographing the colorful bentonite hills, which you can see more of in my previous video episode. After descending some steep switchbacks, still with lingering snow patches, I finally made it into the Cathedral Valley and then to the temples of the sun and moon. For my evening shoot, I wandered around south of the Temple of the Moon and found an interesting view from atop this hill. From atop this hill, I had views of 4 temples, including Temple of the Sun, Temple of the Moon, and these 2 little unnamed temples here in the foreground, as well as this cliff face here on the right side of the view. So here's that view of the 4 temples from atop the little hill. A shadow from the cliff behind me will soon move across the scene, starting at about an hour before sunset, and so I made a few photos just before that happened. The first photo is pretty straightforward, though it's really difficult to get a sense of scale in this desert landscape. The Temple of the Sun back there in the far distance rises about 420 feet above the desert floor. I like this shot of Temple of the Sun framed by the 2 foreground temples. Here, shadows are creeping up the 2 foreground temples, giving the scene a bit more texture and depth. I've taken my photos with sunlight on all 4 of them, and now I'm just waiting for twilight. The sun is actually behind this ridge now. So anyway, just waiting now for sun to set and then for twilight to begin. About an hour away, hour and 15 minutes away for it to start, and just trying to stay here and trying to stay warm. The transition to twilight was really spectacular. The sun sat behind the cliff rising up behind me, but its warm glow reflected off overhead clouds and down into my scene. I really like how these orange cliffs and the blue sky complement each other. So good morning. I'm back at the Temple of the Sun and the Temple of the Moon in Cathedral Valley. This morning I'm focused on just the Temple of the Sun. So got a nice foreground here of some pretty cool rock. I love the texture and cracks in the foreground here and how it adds foreground interest and leads your eye to the Temple of the Sun. I shot several versions of this scene through different phases of the morning sunrise. Wow, what a morning. I was able to capture Cathedral of the Sun both in the indirect sunrise and as well in the direct sunrise, and I'm really happy with both shots. So thank you, Temple of the Sun and Capitol Reef National Park. Thanks for joining me today in Capitol Reef National Park. This was the 18th and final episode from my winter 2024 road trip, photographing the landscapes of the American Southwest. My next video will be from a 7-day pack rafting adventure on Utah's San Juan River, and then it's back to Washington State and the Pacific Northwest. Thanks for joining me, and see you next time.